and just say, welcome to Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life. I'm Reverend Jack Elliott, and many of us have gathered here today in order to launch this class, which is an excellent way of being introduced to this philosophy that we call the science of mind. The science of mind is a faith, a philosophy, and a way of living. And in this particular class, what we're going to be looking at, that if you want a different outcome in life, if something is just not quite working out the way that you want it to work out, perhaps the very first thing that you need to do is to change your thinking about it. And so we're going to be looking at some of the different ways of how do we change our thinking first, and then how do we move about setting our attention on our intention to create the desired outcome. Oftentimes in the CSL communities, Centers for Spiritual Living Communities, whatever center you might come from, no matter what place you might play, you have often heard the phrase, keep your attention on your intention, because intention is everything. All you have to do is ask an athlete. An athlete has the intention of hitting the home run. And so it's that kind of example. The Williams sisters have the intention of winning the match. And so it's really kind of putting that mental equivalent into play so that we are able to do those things. But one of the things that we're going to look at tonight is certainly an overview of what the next 5 episodes of this class could look like for you to get the full benefit of them, but also simultaneously to look at where your focus is being averted. And a part of a focus, we teach in this philosophy that where you put your focus expands. So if you're putting focus on doubt, if you're putting focus on a fear of not being enough, if you're putting a focus on, boy, I sure hope I can do this, but I don't know that I can do this, evidence of that is going to expand and you're going to see more examples of it. And so we'll talk a little bit more about focus and targeting our focus in just a moment. But right now, I want to take just a moment and ask you if you're willing, right where you are right now, to become absolutely grounded. And to be grounded is to put the focus on our intention for tonight's class is to receive something that will empower us to move from where we are to where we want to be. So if you're willing, close your eyes and just take a nice deep breath. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. And know that you are in a safe place for your own self-discovery. That with this class, there is no right way to take it. There's no wrong way to take it. There is only your way to take it. If there is value to be gained from this class, it is because you have set your intention to gain value from being in this class. And so by setting your intention right here, right now, to gain value for whatever it is that you desire, for whatever it is that you may want to manifest in your life right now, say it out loud. I will create my desired outcome. I will create my desired outcome. And so by having said that out loud, you have already activated the neurons within your mind to think, oh, okay, what do we have to do? What do we have to do? What can we do? What can we do to make that happen? The process has already started to unfold, and that's exciting. So what we're going to release in this quiet moment is any doubt, any negativity, anything that is distracting us from our focused intention to create the desires that we're looking for in life. We take dominion over our mind. We take dominion over our thoughts. We take dominion over our actions, knowing that it is absolutely not only possible that we can create the desired outcome, but it's our divine inheritance to do so. And so with that, we give thanks for that opportunity. We give thanks for this opportunity to play together, to share together, to talk about this radical idea that if I want to change my life, all I have to do is start by changing my mind. And so with that, I give thanks for this class. I give thanks for the folks that have come together in this virtual room to be the example, to be the students for others to see. I give thanks to anyone who's watching this on YouTube and participating in their own room, in their own space, in their own way. Know that if you have set your intention to create value from this experience, you will definitely manifest results. And so I give thanks and I say, thank you, God. And so it is.
And so it is.
And so it is. So part of what we will do at the beginning of each class is a little centering, a little prayer treatment in order to set the intention for the class ahead. So as we move into the night, and one of the things that we'll meet some of the people that you see before you in the room in just a moment, but right here, right now, I want you to think about this word that I've been bantering about called focus. And I want you to think of focus in a couple of ways. I want you to think of the metaphor or the example of a focused flashlight. So if you can imagine you're in your house, you're in your home, and you're looking for something. You've got to go down into the basement or out into the garage. You're looking for a very particular thing. And what you do is you pick up the flashlight, you take it with you, you put that beam on high, and you focus on looking specifically for that thing. For me in my life, oftentimes it's my cell phone, it's my glasses, it's my keys that get my focused attention. Now I want you to think of a brighter light, a light that illuminates maybe the entire driveway. Think of that floodlight that comes on with a motion sensor and it illuminates 180 degrees. And if you hear a noise outside and you sense the light coming on, you go to the window and you look, but you're not looking for any one thing. You're looking for anything that might have caused that reaction to that light happening. That's the floodlight focus that we're going to be learning about. So taking those two concepts in life, think about a time in your life where there was something that you wanted and you put that focused attention on it. Perhaps it was to read an important document. You know, somebody gave you a contract. Somebody gave you divorce papers. Somebody gave you some other kind of document, and it's like it was such a surprise to you. But you looked at that and you went through every word and you put your focused attention on finding out what this document was telling you and what it was going to mean in your life. You have that laser attention on each and every line in order to get clarity on what it is of how this was going to change your life. In fact, you were so focused on looking at that document and the intention of what you were trying to find that somebody else came in the room and you didn't even realize it. Or the phone was ringing and you didn't even notice it because you were so focused, like a laser beam, on what it was that you were looking for. That's the intensity of turning a focused light on our intention, to putting a focused light on keeping our attention on our intention. Now I want you to think about that expanded view. You know, you were reading a book, it's your favorite book, and you're home alone, and it's that perfect evening, and you're so into the characters, and you're just enjoying the study, you're enjoying the conversation of the characters in the book, and you're all there, and you're just, oh, so peaceful, and all of a sudden, you hear a noise. Your antenna is up. What was that? What's going on here? And so suddenly you've forgotten about the book. You've forgotten about the thing that you were focused on. You're suddenly listening for every sound in the house. You're suddenly aware of anything. You know, you hear the leak in the bathroom, you know, that water dripping that's been dripping for 2 years, but suddenly you have a heightened awareness of it. No, that's not it. You know, you hear the train going by that's 6 blocks away. No, that's not it. What could have made that noise? You tap into your memory bank of, where have I heard that noise before? Where have I heard it? Okay, it sounds like a book that has fallen, but it's not in the room that I'm at. Oh my goodness. I laid that book on the table on the other room, and I bet the cat just knocked it off. And you get up and you go into the other room and you see the book lying on the floor. And you see the cat all the way over on the other side of the room in the hiding place, wherever the cat goes when the cat has done something wrong. And so the history of evidence has conspired to show you that when you put on that expanded view of taking the floodlight focus to your life, you see all the things, but you've also tapped in to the stereotypes of what it is that you think should be happening. Now, why is this important? Well, one of the things that makes this work so important for us in creating the desired outcomes that we want to create in our life right now is because we are hearing the books fall off the table left and right in our life right now. Our news programs, the traffic going down the street, the next door neighbors, our other commitments of things that we've said that we're going to do, are all making the thumps that can distract us from what it is that we say that we want to create. So we have to bring the focus back, but we also have to understand how that can happen. And sometimes how we can be our own worst enemies when we think that we have fallen short. I would probably venture to guess that the reason why anybody would want to take this class right now is they think that for whatever reason, on some level, they have not been successful at manifesting the desires that they want in their life. So it's like, let me do one more level of due diligence. Let me go in and look one more time to see what it is that I might learn in order that I can create a life where I can manifest the desires that I want. What I want you to know that it may be against our human nature to do so. Not because of any misbegotten intention, but because of what's in our DNA. if you think about the time that human beings have been on this planet, they have operated more frequently in the arena of the floodlight experience. We were in survival. We had to know what was going on all around us just to be safe. We had to pay attention. We were walking through the woods thinking about the berries that we were going to pick, and suddenly we saw an image peering out from behind a tree. Alert! It's the same alert as the book dropping and hitting the floor. It's our human nature. What's going on? Take it all in. What does it mean? Suddenly you're aware of the clouds in the sky, and whether it's the moonlight or the sunlight or whatever it might be, as you hone in to give yourself evidence to remind yourself that you're safe. So when we get distracted, when we get off of our game, we have an opportunity to take a look at what triggered us to do so. Were we triggered by something that reminded us of something from the past? Were we triggered by some place in our life where we didn't take dominion and we know that we should have, but we got distracted by other things? What was it that caused us to suddenly put on the floodlight to see what it is that's going on? That automatic behavior of, I got to take it all in. Because what we also simultaneously have within us is what many call our subconscious and conscious executive director. So if you can imagine, we all saw it on the variety shows of our childhood, where the entertainer had put the plate on the stick and started spinning that plate and kept that stick going, and then they would do a second one and a third one and a fourth one. They kind of became a stage juggler. Okay, well, there you have the experience where in the mind of that juggler, he is focused on the plate above, but he's simultaneously focused on the room around, so that he has a sense that the plate that's over in the second row, the third one back from the front, is about to wobble, and so he's got to go fix that. So his executive director is whispering to him why he has on the focus to say, and over here too, and over there as well. And don't forget up front, don't forget what's behind you. So we have that opportunity to kind of adopt that principle when we want to begin to change the outcome of what it is that we are experiencing in life. So that we can realize, where do we need to put the focused attention? Where do we need to put the spotlight, that flashlight? Where do we need to operate from a floodlight? What do we need to see that we're not seeing that might be keeping us? Do we have a plate in our life that is wobbling? And how do we engage our executive manager to help put it all together? Because the executive manager, if you will, is the one that is there to oversee the execution of what it is that you say that you want. And so getting into what it is that you want as a desired outcome is key to understanding how to keep your attention on your intention to manifest a different outcome. So that's kind of a tee up to what it is that we're going to discover over the next several episodes, the next several weeks of this class. And that you're going to have activities that you take a look at in order to begin to shift how you operate. Because here's the great news. You have dominion over your thoughts, your mind, and your actions. And it's being that executive in charge of your dominion that will allow you to shift and to create a different outcome. You know, we often talk about the levels of consciousness. You are moving from the consciousness of life happens to me into the consciousness level of I take dominion of my life. And so that's kind of what we're learning right here, right now. And so all I ask is that you're willing to say yes. The simplest affirmation in the world is one of the most powerful affirmations in the world. And that's simply the saying yes out loud with exuberance is an affirmation that gets our endorphins rushing, and we can start to do more things. We can start to manifest more results. And so for the next 7 days, I want you to play a game with me. I don't want you, you know, it's like, you know, there's already that other executive manager, the one that didn't really get the job. So they're just a manager in your mind. They're not the executive manager. They're just a manager. And their title is what if? The manager of what if it goes wrong? What if I don't produce a result? What if, you know, the plate does fall and break? What if? And oftentimes we will defer to that manager rather than listening to the executive manager in our mind, which has the higher hope for us. And so what I ask is that you're open to listening to the executive manager for the next 7 days so that each morning when you awaken, that the first words that come out of your mouth is the word yes. And you say it in such a loud and magnificent way that your next door neighbors know that you have awakened to a brand new day and cannot wait to experience it. If you do that, I want you to report back what you notice was different in your life for having done so. It's perfectly all right to have everybody else in your house thinking, oh, what are they up to? Because they're going to see a smile on your face. They're going to see you start to produce results. And so they are going to be happy with the outcome and let them wonder what you're up to. Because after all, what they think about you is none of your business. If you're worried about what they think and how they're responding to you in this thing, then you've put the manager what if in control, and you're not empowering the executive manager to take dominion. So that's our kind of tee up for this class. I want you to meet some other folks, and I'm going to introduce the first person. The first person I'm going to introduce you to is Janice, who is a practitioner. And so Janice is then going to share, hopefully, a little bit where she has realized the benefit of focused intention in her life. An example, when she put her attention on her intention to create something and it manifests. And then once she's done, she's going to introduce you to somebody else in the class. So Janice, would you say hello and tell us a little bit about yourself? And
hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm so happy to be here, and welcome everybody who's coming in. And as Reverend Jack said, I'm a practitioner, a CSL practitioner. I've been one for, I think, 8 years, or going on 8 years. And I am very glad to be here. And as far as focused attention, I am living it right now. I have revitalized a project from 40 years ago. It's an art project that has me creating every single night. So I finish my regular job and then I go into another room and I'm focusing my attention on completing enough of this project that I can then show it to people by December 4th. And that is my birthday. So I have every single night I am focusing, I'm shutting down all other noises, and the time just flies. I lose time. So what happens is, I'll start out at 7 o'clock, and then I look up, and it can be 12 o'clock at night, and I go to sleep at 9:30. So I just know that every single time I put my focus on it, I take another step ahead, I get closer, and my vibration, I have a vision, and I'm bringing my vibration up to that vision by focusing, keeping it focused, except when I hear, like, don't you want to go get something to eat? Don't, are you sure you want to do this? It's a good show on. And I just need to, and that's the manager. So I kind of push the manager aside, and what I put in front of me is how I'm going to feel when this project is done. So that's what focus is for me right now. Yeah. And I would love to call on Sandria, who's right below me in the tiles.
I am below you, so you're right to my right on the tiles below me.
See? Doesn't really matter, does it?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Thank you, Janice. It's good to see you. So my name is Sandria Jennings, and I am a practitioner in training, and just glad to be here. And so I can call unfocused attention procrastination, because it seems like it's the same thing. So I had a project, and it was a simple one, but it was also hard. I've always wanted, and my fellow pracs and practitioner training know this story, that I had a house in Antioch, and it had a garage with a remote control, so you could back your car out and be like the rich people and close the door and not have to get out in the rain and the snow and the sleet and the hail to unlock your garage and then drive your car out and get back out. You know the drill. So that was 17 years ago that I loved that garage door opener, and I moved into my house here in Oakland. And for 17 years, I've wanted that, but I have not focused my attention on getting it. And of course, many times I've had the money to do it, but just didn't focus on that. So recently I had the money again, and I was motivated by an event that happened that I needed to put my car back in the garage. I needed to have a garage. So the universe kind of pushed me into focusing and on my intention. And so the procrastination went by the wayside. And within 3 days of focused intention, I had a garage door installed and my garage cleaned out so that I could pull my car into the garage. I didn't have to get out and go into the dark, deep abyss to close it from the outside. Push the button and it closed behind me, and I'm secure and get out of my car and do whatever I need to do. There's so many of those things that have happened. And I realized, like I said, that procrastination looks a lot a bit like unfocused attention. And I'm amazed that projects that have lingered on for years and years are completed like within minutes, sometimes within minutes, sometimes in a few days, sometimes a week. So I'm just amazed when that happens, that when I'm focused and when my intention is on a task and is clear, it just does it just like that, just the hardest task. So I'm grateful for being here. I'm greedy, I want more. And greedy is a good thing to me. So I want more, I'm motivated. And I will then call on, let's see, I'll call on Avery.
On Avery. All right.
Hello, everyone. My name is Avery James, and I am also a practitioner in training. The problem with me is I am focusing on way too many things at one time, which is not new to me because it's something that I've always done and I've always enjoyed. But I've gotten to a point where now I have to really pick something to focus on. And what I've been focusing on now has been school, because it's almost finished. Graduate school is almost done. And I am focusing on what comes after that, the teaching and the writing. And I've just had the opportunity to start writing again. So I'm really focusing on the writing. I'm putting a book together, on getting the best advice that I can get, on my writing to put that together. So I'm focused on that's what my biggest focus is. And I just had a report from my latest professor, and she loved the short story that I did, and she wants to help me put it together so she can sort of help me get it published because she likes it that much. So right now, my focus is pushing that that little bit of writing. It's a short, very short story, but it's a good one, and it's one that she recognized as a good one. So I'm just focusing on that at this moment. And it makes me feel good to be able to write that way, because it's always when it comes to writing, it's always about, is this good enough? Or is somebody gonna like it? Is anybody gonna like it? But as long as I like it because I focused on it, I think that's the most important part, because that's the only way anyone else is gonna even care to see it or like it. So that's what I'm focused on at the moment. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Avery.
And I'm going to pick Jamie Powers.
Yay, Jamie.
I'm going off mute here. Okay, thanks. Yeah, Jamie Powers, and I'm a practitioner in training also. I have to say that a couple things came to mind. I first of all, when I focus my intention, it gives me purpose. And what I've been focused on lately is the practitioner training. I become unfocused when doubt gets in, and especially before in the training, was earlier in the training, and I thought I couldn't do it, which creates a lot of anxiety. So when I go back to thinking, okay, wait, I can do this, and focusing my attention again, then I feel better. You know, because being distracted by everything else, like others have mentioned, Reverend Jack mentioned, that just creates more stress. So don't want that. So yeah, so I go back to my practitioner training, focusing on that. And like I said, it makes me feel better and gives me purpose, which I really needed.
Hi, thank you, Jamie.
So Betty.
Betty.
Yes. I'm Betty Harris, and I am a practitioner, and I am working with this practitioner studies as a refresher, and with these lovely people who are studying to become practitioners. And one of the things that I experienced is kind of a loss of energy that some people say come with age, and I kind of don't believe that. But I was still experiencing some, and I thought, well, now I'm doing Pilates and I'm doing Tai Chi. What is wrong with me? My energy is losing. So I thought, I've got to pay attention here, because I'm not going to live this way. I've got to get my energy back. So I started working with a personal trainer, Reverend Lily Reed, and I have began to learn a lot about exercises that helped my joints work better, and also just working with weights and working with different modalities in terms of doing what weights do to get you back in shape. But over the course of the year or two, year and a half that I have been doing that, my energy came back and I feel great. So now, not only am I focusing more on the personal training, but I can pay more attention to the Tai Chi, because I have a master teacher in Tai Chi, and he wants me to slow down and do those exercises so that you really understand the form and you can really pick up the energy from the earth and let it work through you. And that is another way to get more energy. and to get the joy from that. Oh, anyway, that's what I've been doing.
All right. And I want to introduce you all to someone who's just back over oftentimes Betty's shoulder, and that is her partner, Sue. Sue, wave. And one of the things that Sue has taught me, and it's really kind of a very special way of putting the executive back into control in our life. Sue is the master timekeeper. Sue, because of her military experience, has an appreciation and a discipline to time. Not time as a negative, but making time work. Making sure that you're on purpose. So it's like, Sue, am I wrong? You know when it's time to take medicine. You know when it's time for lunch and dinner. You know when it's time to go and be done, right?
Absolutely.
You do, and
I know
that's
when it's
that,
time.
right, and it's ingrained. And one of the things that in all of your examples of what we talked about, we have this experience of, am I honoring the manager or am I honoring the executive in charge? And one of the things that we can do to always make sure the executive in charge is to act like that person and to honor our time commitments. It came to mind when Janice offered that every evening at 7 o'clock, she goes and does the thing that she loves. So think about that just for a moment. No matter how tedious a work assignment and in what I would call her secular job might be during the day, or what kind of aggravation that she might have in traffic out there in the world, knowing that at 7 o'clock, I'm going to get up, go into another room, and do the thing that I love to do, makes the other thing more tolerable. If we do not set that intention that we are going to honor our outcome, honor our desire, and do something towards it each and every day, then the manager gets to be in control. The manager gets to show all of the examples of chaos to where, if I can only making this up for the example, but if Janice is caught in traffic and the traffic is so heavy and I didn't want to drive anyway, and I get to the appointment and they weren't there, that could put one in such a tailspin for the day that they just go home and go to bed. And they don't have the opportunity to do the thing that they love, no matter what. The other thing, and this is particularly important, that if you're one of our elders that we're lifting up, is regiment keeps depression or the blues at bay. It's just is, believe it. You don't need to call Dr. Google. You don't need to do any more research, but if you have purpose, if you set an intention that each and every day I'm going to do these 5 or 6 things, and you do them, you will have an experience of success, not unlike what Sandrea spoke of when she said, now it's so satisfying to pull into a garage by just hitting the button. And I know in the next couple of weeks when the rainy season hits and she pulls in for the first time, she's going to be absolutely giddy sometime pulling into that garage and hitting that button because she doesn't have to get out and get wet anymore. And then wonder, we could dwell. The manager might send you the file and say, hey, take a look at this. Why did it take 17 years for you to get there? Doesn't matter. We got there. No time to dwell on why it took 17 years right now. That's a different class at another time. Right now, we're celebrating that we successfully manifested the feeling of success for doing what we said that we're going to do. I cannot tell you how many elder folks that I speak to and have spoken to over this pandemic that have shut down in life. And one of the things that I asked the question, if we were not meeting virtually, if we were meeting in person, and instead of me zooming in to talk with you, I knocked on the front door and walked in, what would you immediately do in your house? Would you be ready to receive a guest? Would you want me in, if you will? And if not, you have let the manager be in control. It's you set the routines of whether it is let you get up at 6 a.m. and the first thing you're going to do is say yes to the day. And once you say yes to the day, then you set the next thing that you are going to accomplish for that day. I'm going to take my supplements. I'm going to have my breakfast. I'm going to have my coffee. I'm going to make my bed. I'm going to take my shower. I'm going to take the garbage out. Whatever it is that works for you, not that you should be doing, but what it is that you can do that will give you that feeling of satisfaction. Think about it. When you walk into the kitchen and look into the sink, how do you feel if there are dirty dishes in the sink, as opposed to how do you feel if there are clean dishes in the sink? So why wouldn't you always want to manifest the feeling of how it is that you feel with a clean sink? And what do you have to do in order to make that happen? Now, we probably all know it's much easier to wash 1 cup, 1 saucer, 1 plate, and 1 fork and 1 knife and put it away, as opposed to saving it in the sink and having to do 15 plates, 15 cups, 15 saucers, and then it's an overwhelming task that, yet again, we've allowed the manager to run the show. A manager who's not ready yet or capable yet of running the show. So think about what it is in your life where you have taken dominion over the experience that you want to have. Part of that is to go, okay, if I do that here, I don't remember when I first learned in life to make my bed. I'm sure it was a rule when in my house growing up that that's just what we had to do. And so we always did it. But I'm now in a place where for whatever reason, and I can't remember the last time this ever happened, that I walked into a bedroom and had to get into an unmade bed, I'd rather sleep on the sofa. Now, it's just so ingrained into my nature. It's ingrained into my value system of I don't want to have that negative experience of what it's like to do that. And so oftentimes it's just out of habit where, there have been times when I've been the guest in other people's home and it's the last day that I'm with them and I'm about to leave and they go, oh, did you pull the sheets off the bed? No, because I made the bed. It's just, it's like I can't get out of it without turning it around and making it. It's just so ingrained to the lesson that I have. Now, I certainly don't mind going back and unmaking it, to keep that task. But it's one of those things, it's those patterns. It's those things that we're teaching our mind. And if you look at that example, that is an example where we have trained our mind to act and to operate in a certain way for a desired outcome. We want the desired outcome of feeling good about the task at hand. We look at all the things that we said in life that we wanted to do, that we really are committed to becoming a practitioner. We're really committed to becoming that great teacher and storyteller that Avery was talking about. And we know that there are times in life where the things that we know that we really want to do, sometimes that manager is taking control. The executive went on vacation and that person ran the show for a while. And it's like we just have to get back to taking dominion over that experience. And here's the gift. When we choose again to be in to what it is that we feel called to do, then suddenly we realize that there was no time wasted. We did learn something. And it may even be the most perfect time for us to manifest what it is that we have desired all along, so that we have that opportunity of getting there. And I often think, and one of the things that we're going to do is a little game in this process. I want you to name your executive in charge. I want you to give them a real name. And what I would love for you to do, and we'll do a little closed eye process here in a minute to get clarity on that name, is to name it after someone that is the example of who you admire, who you really see doing what it is that you want to do in your life. So if you were a photographer, you might name your executive director Ansel. My executive director Ansel will keep me focused, will keep my attention on my intention so that I can manifest the desire that I'm looking for. And then I want you to name the manager, the person that can erode it, to someone that you gave your power to in life. You gave your power away. And it's like, wow. Now, I bet each of us immediately came up with a name, and we're not judging that person right now. We're solidifying the experience that we had when they were running the show. And so anytime we have to ask ourselves the question, who's in control? Is it Ansel or is it Derek? Just making that up. There was no Derek. But you get the example of what I'm doing. These are little tricks. These are little tools that we can use so that we absolutely keep our attention on our intention. So close your eyes right where you are right now. And let's take a deep breath and let it out. Take in a deep breath and let it out. So I'm going to invite you from right where you are right now to be in the chair. Be aware that your feet are firmly planted on the floor, that your legs are supported by the chair, your back is supported by the chair, and that you're grounded. You're grounded. You're absolutely connected, not only to the earth below you, but to the universe and all that is above you through the top of your head. That you're connected. That you're open to receiving a direct impress from Spirit about what it is that you are to see, what it is that you are to know, what it is that you are to understand. And who it is that has been a guiding light. Who is it in your life that has known whether to turn on the flashlight, for the absolute laser focus, or to illuminate everything with a floodlight so that you might see all of the possibilities? Who is that person?
You are that person.
Keep that name in mind. Now I want you to think of someone, and then we lift them up with love, and we lift them up with understanding that they were a teacher. Who was that person who you gave your power to, who you acquiesced your dream to, where you put yourself on hold for? Who was that manager that you allowed to be in charge of your desire? All right. So as we come back into the room, and as we come back together, I invite you to think about the executive and that person that you've lifted up, our Ansel, so to speak, for the photographer. Name 3 virtues, 3 attributes that describes that person. And I'm going to ask you to share that aloud. Now, you don't necessarily, you're invited to say, my person is Ansel Adams. I found him to be artistic, compassionate, and a revealer of truth. That's the type of answer that I'm looking for here. But you don't have to say Ansel. You know, it might be too personal, but what you can say is my executive director is loving, compassionate, and the absolute example of who I desire to be. Understood? Good. All right. This time around, I'm going to pick Jamie to go first. Jamie, describe the attributes of your executive.
And to use one of your examples, Reverend Jack, my executive was loving and a guide, and helped me to keep my eye on the ball, the focus.
So say the 3 one more time. Loving and what?
Loving, give me direction and help me to focus, keep my eye on the ball.
Okay.
Something in particular.
Those were the attributes that you admired in them. All right. Thank you. Okay. Jot those down so you remember them for a moment. Sandrea.
Okay, so my person is compassionate, ethical and honest. I'm cheating a little bit. I'm doing 2 as 1. And
Funny that you would say that you're cheating on ethical and honest.
yeah,
But go ahead.
irony. Did I say compassionate? Compassionate, ethical. Oh gosh, and definitely spiritual.
Spiritual. Okay. Janice.
My executive is clear, loving, and wise.
Okay. Betty.
Well, I'm thinking of 2 or 3 executives, but I think the one that I really am attracted to is a person who gave up a corporate job to bring forward his gifts as a teacher and spiritual leader.
So teacher, spiritual leader, and what else?
One who looks at life well lived, and why does that occur? I'll put it that way.
Okay. Avery.
My executive is artistic, giving, and intelligent.
Okay. All right. So here is the task at hand. We are going to write an affirmation for the week for each of you using those attributes, because it would not be true for you to even see them in that other person if they were not true for you. So Avery, list your three again.
Artistic, giving, and intelligent.
Okay. So Avery, your statement to write down is, I, Avery, am artistic. What are they?
Giving and
Giving
intelligent.
and intelligent. So say that all together, but say, I, Avery, am.
I, Avery, am artistic, giving, and intelligent.
Okay. So every day this week, as many times during the day as possible, say that out loud. Don't just read it and go, oh yeah, that's a nice thought, or don't read it 5 times before we get together next week. Commit to the practice of saying it out loud with authority. You're stating your truth 5 times a day. And if you find any time during the day when the manager is in charge, that's your call to say that affirmation out loud right then and there. You may have to put it on mute, Zoom on mute, say it out loud because you're in a business meeting, but you have that opportunity to say it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So Sandrea, can you say yours? I, Sandrea, am.
I, Sandria, am honest, Sandria, am honest, compassionate, and spiritual.
Okay. So, you know, you're getting the task for it, and you understand it. One of the things that I will also ask you to do is to post it. You know, we'll have a forum page for this class on our website, on our forums at elderpride.org, where you can go in and just be in communication with one another and post these affirmations. Now I want to go over to the manager's department for a moment. We're walking down the hall. We're going to go in, we're going to have a conversation with that manager. And I'm going to ask that you give me 3 attributes. Janice, maybe you can help me out. 3 attributes of that manager that you gave your power to. You're on mute.
I believe my excuses, so I don't know what word that would be. Let's see, procrastinating, excusing. That's the word I'm trying to. There's a word for it that begins with R. Like I believe rationalize. Okay, the queen of rationalization, and the queen of procrastination, and also that person is judgmental.
Okay. So I, Janice, release any evidence of judgmental procrastination or rationalization from my life right now.
And so it is.
Okay?
I, Janice, release any ideas or behaviors around procrastination, rationalization, and I forgot the last one. Everybody else,
You already released it. No.
I released it. I
Yeah.
don't need it anymore.
Well, work on it, come up with it, because again, there's a power
Judgment.
of three.
It was
But-
judgment.
Judgment. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, the one I do the least.
So
And judgment.
judgment. And when you find yourself in it, and you will, say the release statement followed by the affirmation.
I like it.
Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Because you're retraining the mind. Oh, I see where you are. We're not going to stay here. We're going to release this thought and we're going to bring in the appropriate thought. Does that make sense? So we release and we bring in the new idea. Good stuff. Good stuff. That's the start of changing your thinking by changing your life, by changing your thinking. And it's having those words. Now, again, we have all known the power of affirmations. And we probably even have our little favorite affirmations up on the mirror in the bathroom, or a little affirmation that we call up whenever we, get really in a bind. Mine is God is my source. When I don't know what else to say or what else to think, I go right to God as my source. And so what I'm inviting us to do, though, is to make that as part of our practice all the time, not just when we get stuck, not when we just get caught in a bind and can't get out of it. That we are constantly and consistently and intentionally affirming our highest and best. That is just how we move through life. It's like I have often spoken of this wonderful woman before that I worked with in Tracy, California, who was a city council woman. Whenever you would see her, Evelyn, how are you? I am great. I am working my get into heaven plan. That was her affirmation. Now, she said it out loud at every opportunity that she could, so that it would be her truth all the time. And we believed her because it was energetic and it kept her on purpose. One of the things that we'll really look at over these next several weeks is we will look at vision, we will look at purpose, but most importantly, we will look at a focused intention. And that focused intention allows us to keep our attention on our intention. So I want to go around the room one more time. Anyone can start and anyone can pick somebody else and ask the question, what was your takeaway from tonight's session?
Oh, I'll start.
Okay.
So my takeaway is what I really am seeing is that my manager is an energy sapper and that my executive is an energizer, and that when I'm in with my manager, it takes more energy for me to be thinking about what I should be doing. So I'm thinking about doing the dishes, and I got to do the dishes, and I got to do the dishes, or how I feel when I don't do the dishes, or how I feel how my energy goes down because I haven't done the dishes. When if I just did the dishes in like the 2 minutes that it takes to do the dishes, it took me 2 hours of energy thinking about doing the dishes. So it's an energizing
2 hours of judgment, rationalization, and procrastination.
So it's like my manager is an energy sapper. And Jamie, how about you?
Who? Who did she say?
Jamie.
Oh, okay, what I thought. Okay, so I was thinking for myself that raises my attention to remember and focus on my executive function. It raises my vibration, which is what I'm trying to do, and it's part of yes.
What did you notice how you even felt right then when you said the word yes?
Yeah. Yes, I did. Yes, yes.
Right. Yes makes you giggle.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing, and that shows you immediately it's working. Great. Who do you pick?
Avery.
It's funny when I was picking my executive, I picked somebody that I admired and somebody whose work I really look up to. What I didn't realize that his attributes were the same as mine.
Right.
I didn't pick him I didn't realize that that's what I was, but when I picked them, they were the same things, and they sort of surprised me. It surprised me a lot of how there's someone who was as close, whose work I admired was as close to who I am. And that was kind of a big deal for me.
Absolutely. Good stuff.
And I picked
right.
Betty.
Well, my big takeaway is I have been trying to convince myself that focus is something you don't do when you get as old as I am. And so I agree that kind of idiocy is an energy eater. So I'm throwing that out because focus, intention is my game.
Focused intention is your what?
Is my game.
Yep, is my game. Absolutely. Good stuff. Sandria.
So my takeaway was the planning and the execution of a plan offsets depression. And that's a big one for me. So the whole class has already been a value, even if we don't do another session. That's a big one for me.
Good. All right. Well, thank you for that. Here's the thing. Tonight was to set the intention of introducing to you the possibility of what your life could be if you merely changed your thinking. If you want to participate with us in this class, I ask that when you go to the website, that you make a donation by hitting the donate button. When you hit that donate button, $49 of your donation will go to your non-refundable registration fee for Elder Pride. That is the fee that we pass on to Centers for Spiritual Living as a part of the tuition for having taken this class. It makes the printed materials that you all got. It helps pay for all that. It keeps the tracking that they keep of who's taken what classes. That's all available. That's the non-refundable registration fee. Anything above that is all going to Elder Pride to keep us in a position where we can offer classes like this. If you were taking this class at most centers throughout the organization, this class is a $225 class. But what we're offering in this particular situation is that you do what you feel you're called to do, and that you have that opportunity to, during the next several weeks, if you want to donate $10 a week, $20 a week, $30, you can do that. Or you can make a one-time donation. All that we ask is that you make a donation and that you know how we're going to use that donation. If you prefer to do a check rather than hitting the donate button, you can mail it to Elder Pride Incorporated at 803 West Clinton Avenue, Fresno, California, 93705. So once again, that's 803 West Clinton Avenue, Fresno, California, 93705. And you can just mail a check payable to Elder Pride Incorporated. Either way is how you can pay for this class. So with that said, I'm going to invite you to, starting on Saturday of this week, which will be Saturday, October 23rd. I got the date right. The conversation and the materials for next week's class for the discussion points will be posted there on a tab that's called Forums at Elder Pride. And you'll be able to look and see a forum specifically for this class. You'll see the logo of the class. You can click there and we'll keep a conversation going, and we'll ask you to post different things. I'm going to ask that you post the affirmations that you come up with. I don't want the one that you're releasing. We don't need to put any negative energy out there in the world right now. We just want to read your good news affirmation and what your experience was like for saying yes to changing your thinking in order that you might change your life. So let's close our eyes right here, right now. And as we conclude this evening, we give thanks. We give thanks for all of the sharing. We give thanks for the insights, the conversations, the understanding of what it is to have a focused attention, a focused intention that allows us, empowers us, absolutely ensures that we keep our attention on our intention, that we do what is required in order to manifest our desires in our life. We get that we deserve it. We've already experienced what it is to have our executive in charge of our life, to take dominion of our life. We are tired of the manager of life happening to me to be the manager that runs my life. Instead, we empower the executive in charge as I take dominion of my life. I recognize the values that is the truth of who I am. Whether it be that I am loving, whether it be that I am intelligent, whether it be that I am compassionate, whether it be that I am energized, whatever the gift is, I accept it and embrace it and give thanks for being reminded of it one more time. And so as we come to a time of closure for this particular session, we simply say, thank you, God, for this opportunity to be together. Thank you for the sharing. Thank you for the truth. Thank you for all that has been revealed. And so it is.
So it is.
It is.
So it is.
So it is.